Hey, I'm Higginbotham, LCSW, and welcome back to our series on cognitive behavioral strategies for anxiety and depression. And today we're going to talk about activity scheduling. So activity scheduling is essentially exactly what it sounds like. We make a schedule of different things that are important to us to do throughout the day. Now, there are specific reasons that we want to be able to make this activity schedule, and that's because there's a lot of evidence that states when we make decisions ourselves, we are much more likely to follow through with those things. If we say that we want to engage in a certain activity and we commit to engaging in a certain activity, we are much more likely to following through with said activity than if somebody comes in and says, hey, you need to do this, 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 and this, and makes a schedule for us and expects us to adhere to that specific schedule. Unfortunately, there's a lot of defiance and reactivity within certain aspects of mental health, and this takes those out of the equation. So, going into our activity schedule, this is how I like to make a different activity schedule. So some people like to set it down by day and by hour and list in their entire day from 8 o'clock all the way until midnight or whenever bedtime is, and then filling that in. I like to have a little bit more leeway in my day. So I've got things right here that can be important to you and are important to me, and how we're going to deal with these every single day. So we've got Monday through Sunday listed on our activity schedule, and the first activity is wake up. It's important to be able to have a specific time to wake up. And that's because if you don't have a specific time to wake up, if you don't set an alarm, some people are apt to just continue to sleep through the day and then wake up and they'll be under-rested, they'll be over-rested, and then they'll be having some mental health symptoms and some depressive symptoms and even some anxiety symptoms. People can also wake up with panic attacks when things like that happen. It's something that I've seen clinically in practice before. So wake up, and let's say that maybe you're not that much of a morning person and you want your wake up to be maybe around 8:30. We do that, and then let's say we do 8:30 on the weekdays. And then Saturday and Sunday, we want to allot ourselves a little bit more time to sleep in. Let's say we wake up at 10 o'clock, maybe on Saturdays and Sundays. It's perfectly fine. We want to make sure we get between 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night. The evidence suggests that 8 hours of sleep is the appropriate amount to get. And then we've got breakfast. We eat breakfast, and then we go to the gym, or we do yoga. We practice mindfulness, we practice meditation. And mindfulness and meditation is extremely important. It's one part of your program that you don't want to skimp on. To be able to be a passive observer to your thoughts, is extremely important. I'm not my feelings. I'm not going to be governed by my feelings. I can witness those feelings and I can let them pass me by. That way we're not being dictated by how we feel. Our behaviors aren't dictated by how we feel. We have much more freedom and much more emotional sobriety and emotional recovery. So gym and yoga, being active is extremely important. And let's say that we want to do the gym and we want to do yoga maybe at 10:30. 10:30 is our gym and yoga time. And you can vary these day by day too. There's nothing that says that you have to do the same thing every single day. So let's say that your gym and your yoga time and your work time tend to flip-flop. Maybe you wait tables, maybe you work morning shifts sometimes and night shifts sometimes, or you work in retail and you flip-flop those. Say that maybe you go into work at, let's say 4:30 these days, and then you go into work at 10:30 on these days. Maybe you got weekends off. So maybe you do your gym and your yoga at 4:30 during these times. The important thing is to have those slots filled up with things that are important to you to be able to commit to those. So therapy or 12-step, let's say you're going to 12-step meetings and it's important to you to maybe go to a noon 12-step meeting. Or maybe you get off work and you do your gym and yoga and maybe you go to a 5:30 12-step meeting on these days. It just really depends on what you want to put into it. And then your bedtime, it's really important to be able to set a bedtime. So if you're waking up at 8:30, and you want at least 8 hours of sleep, you don't want to stay up until 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock every single morning. Let's say that you make your bedtime maybe 10:30 at night. And you don't have to go to sleep at bedtime. That's just the time that you start to wind down, that you start to do your meditation, that you start to do maybe your reading in bed. Maybe you start to do different types of sleep hygiene things to be able to have a good night's sleep. So let's say that you want to be in bed maybe at 10:30. And like I say, you don't have to do that every single night. Maybe, say Friday night, you want to hang out with your friends, you want to stay up a little bit later, and you set your bedtime at 12 o'clock. And then over here we've got Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday and Sunday you can fill with whatever you want to fill with. Maybe you want to go take a hike, maybe you want to go to Pinnacle Mountain, maybe you want to go to Pettigene, maybe you want to go to a state park, maybe you want to go to an amusement park, or you want to go swim. You can do anything you want to do. Make those plans, write those plans down on your activity schedule, and you can even put time with friends on there if you don't know what your activity is. This is your activity schedule to adhere to however you want to adhere to. But remember, the purpose of this is to be able to commit to an activity so you're more motivated and you can reduce the depressive symptoms of isolation, inappropriate guilt, crying spells, etc., by being able to know what you're going to do and do those things. Once again, this is something that you can do today to help start to alleviate symptoms of anxiety and depression in an evidence-based manner.